If you have ever sat across a desk, sweating in your best clothes while a manager tries to get a feel for you, you have participated in one of the least effective rituals in modern business. The casual chat is a terrible predictor of whether someone can actually do the job. Decades of industrial psychology prove this. Massive analyses of 85 years of hiring data, recently updated by researchers like Paul Sackett, place the unstructured interview near the absolute bottom for predicting actual job performance. It ranks right down there with years of experience and educational pedigree, metrics that barely move the needle. The free-flowing conversation fails because human beings make snap judgments in the first 30 seconds and spend the rest of the meeting confirming them. Halo effects, affinity biases, and the simple psychological urge to hire people who remind us of ourselves run unchecked. This chart shows callback rates from a massive 2024 study that filed tens of thousands of fake applications to Fortune 500 firms. It reveals that identical resumes with white-sounding names get called back significantly more often, with the worst offending companies showing a 24% gap over identical black-sounding names. When you add lost productivity and the cost of replacing them, a single mistake can trigger a six-figure loss. Faced with an expensive, highly subjective status quo, employers started looking for a way out. They didn't rush toward automated screening because the technology was flawless. They did it out of sheer financial desperation. Tech vendors marched into this massive corporate blind spot with a compelling pitch. Let algorithms do the heavy lifting. They offered massive scale, lightning speed, and the kind of uniform consistency human managers simply cannot deliver. Major multinational corporations quickly deployed a trifecta of new screening tools. Companies like Unilever started using AI video screening, virtual reality simulations, and neuroscience-based mobile games where candidates make rapid decisions to measure traits like risk tolerance. The early rollouts produced the exact metrics executives wanted. Hiring timelines collapsed from 4 months down to 4 weeks. Companies eliminated tens of thousands of hours of screening time and saved millions in the process. To sell these systems, vendors heavily promoted a specific idea. They claimed that if you strip out the face, the accent, and the alma mater, and let cold math judge the candidate, human discrimination disappears. The corporate efficiency gains and cost savings were highly measurable. The utopian promise of an algorithm entirely free from human bias, however, was mostly marketing. Legal and technology scholars like Ifeoma Ajenwa point out a severe danger here. Automating the hiring process doesn't erase discrimination, it facilitates it, burying bias deep inside a black box where it is discreet and nearly impossible for a rejected applicant to document. Amazon learned this the hard way. The company spent years building an AI recruiting tool and fed it a decade of its own resumes to learn from. The system quickly taught itself that being male was a positive signal, actively downgrading resumes with the word women's. Engineers tried to fix it, but eventually scrapped the entire project. It proved a rigid rule of machine learning. If you train an algorithm on a mathematically biased human history, the system will faithfully replicate that history while wearing a mask of objectivity. This chart shows error rates in automated speech recognition used in interviews. The error rate for Black speakers is 0.35, nearly double the 0.19 rate for white speakers. This disparity remained even when researchers matched speakers by age, gender, and exact words spoken. When organizations deploy unproven, highly automated systems to decide who gets a paycheck, they aren't fixing their flaws. They are simply taking their existing blind spots and scaling them up to process thousands of applications a second. When critics point out these flaws, the tech industry points to the independent bias audit. Vendors routinely pay third-party computer scientists to test their models against statistical fairness thresholds to prove they are safe to use. Regulators are trying to force that audit data into the light. New York City passed Local Law 144, requiring companies using automated hiring tools to publicly disclose the results of their bias tests. The law arrived with massive loopholes. A study titled Null Compliance found the regulations gave companies so much discretion, doing nothing became a viable strategy. Out of hundreds of employers examined, roughly 95% simply chose not to post the required audits. Europe is taking a much harder line. The EU AI Act is classifying candidate evaluation tools as high risk, phasing in strict human oversight requirements, and threatening fines that can reach 35 million euros or 7% of global annual turnover. But right now, in jurisdictions with near zero enforcement and zero required disclosure, A vendor claiming "we audit for bias" doesn't protect the applicant. It acts as a corporate liability shield. While employers were busy deploying AI to surveil their applicants, the applicants realized they could use AI to beat the screen. Candidates are using invisible screen overlays that feed live interview questions directly into language models. The software then displays highly polished, perfectly structured answers for the applicant to read aloud, entirely undetectable to the recruiter on the other end. This is a chart of Gartner's projections on interview fraud. It illustrates a rapidly escalating arms race, predicting that by 2028, 1 in 4 candidate profiles worldwide will be entirely fake, fueled by synthetic voices and deepfake video. The irony here is sharp. After a decade spent automating humans out of the hiring process, tech giants like Google are retreating. They are bringing back the in-person interview just to verify that the person on the other end actually exists. The most effective way for an employer to fix their hiring pipeline doesn't require a magic algorithm. It requires adopting structured interviews, where human managers ask every candidate the exact same standardized questions and grade them on a rigid rubric. The future of hiring isn't going to be a clean victory for the machines, nor a return to the romanticized casual chat. It is going to be a messy, heavily contested hybrid, where the only safe way to use these automated tools is as an assistant, kept under strict, continuous human oversight.